Welcome to the Tour Confidential bonus. Guys, it's Ryder Cup week, and mixed in we have, of course, the sad news of the passing of Arnold Palmer. Shipnook, we'll start with you out in California. How does the passing of Arnold Palmer change the dynamic of the Ryder Cup this week?
Well, we've seen how, the last Ryder Cup, the Europeans used Seve's passing as kind of a rallying cry and as a source of motivation. And I think the U.S. team will draw upon Arnie's example and really try and bring home the cup in his memory. I think it'll add just a whole extra layer of emotion. It shows you how big Arnold is. I mean, the Ryder Cup hype can blot out the sun. And yet last night, on the Sunday Night Football, it's going to be this big splashy announcement of the captain's pick. And instead it was a whole tribute to Arnold. And, literally they just muttered the fact that Ryan Moore was going to be the captain's pick, which otherwise would have been a big deal and we were all waiting for. But I think it gives them perspective that compared to Arnold's passing, the Ryder Cup's not that big a story. Days will pass. By the time we get to Friday, I think the focus will be more on the Cup. But certainly Arnold's going to be a huge part of the run-up and the conversation. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a patch on the shirts or some other tangible nod to his legacy.
What do you think, Alan? You think Arnold's a source of inspiration this week for the U.S.?
Yeah, no question. I think Alan nailed it. I mean, he sort of realized how trivial all this. We've been obsessing over this task force and this final pick, and all the hubbub over the Ryder Cup, and in a moment it sort of vanished. It will start to build again as we get into this week and certainly into the weekend, especially if we have a tight match. But you can. It's going to be interesting to see how. I think both sides will obviously commemorate Arnie, not just the U.S. side, obviously the Europeans, with the global appeal that Arnie had, and it's going to be a special week. I mean, it's unusual. We have two giant news stories in golf sort of colliding in the same week, and it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, it's sad that Arnie's no longer with us, but I also find it strangely poetic that it happens at the start of Ryder Cup week because he was a global golf figure, a global star, and he loved the Ryder Cup. I mean, he was you go down the all-time list, Arnold Palmer is one of the greatest U.S. Ryder Cup players in history. He was a former captain, and he was all for just taking the game global and doing everything he can to grow golf. And so, I do think the U.S. will be inspired this week, but I also think Europe is inspired too. I mean, you saw the words that Rory McIlroy shared on Sunday night after winning $10 million of the Tour Championship. He was genuinely affected by the passing of Arnold Palmer. So I don't know. As far as inspiration, I think it's a wash, but I do think it's fitting in a way that we have a chance to honor his life at golf's really what arguably the biggest event of the year.